Hello, my beautiful manifestors. It is Olivia Grace, and I'm back with another video for you guys. And today I am answering a question that was emailed to me. This person has asked to remain anonymous, so I am going to call him Barry. And really this video is really for beginners, because we hear a lot of coaches, pretty much every coach, everyone that talks about the law of assumption talks about how circumstances don't matter. But when you're new to the law, or even new to manifesting, especially if you're new to manifesting altogether, but even new to the law of assumption coming from the law of attraction, it's just a very different way of thinking about it, right? So first, okay, I'm like deciding how I want to do this. So first I want to just explain briefly why circumstances don't matter. Then I'm going to read his question. And then I'm going to read a Neville story that perfectly coincides with his question. Okay. Before I get into that, I do have coaching, you guys. Links are in the description. I make custom revision scenes, custom sat scenes, and custom affirmations. My sat scenes and revision scenes are currently $30. They're going to go up soon, just because as I've been making them, it takes me a little bit more time than $30 worth of time. So get them all, they're $30. But anyways, and I'm documenting my own SP journey. That is in my membership tab if you guys are interested. My SP is actually like on his way here, so I'm trying to hurry up and make this video, but I really wanted to make it today. So first, I want you guys to understand that life is like a dream, okay? And I don't know if you guys have heard of lucid dreaming, but lucid dreaming is when you are in your dream and you become aware inside of your dream that you're in a dream, right? Now, when you become lucid in your dream, you have full control over your dream. You can do things like fly, you can teleport, you can, conjure things to pop out of nowhere. You basically you are like the operant power within your dream, okay? Now, real life is literally just like that, okay? Now, real life is a bit, obviously we're not flying. I won't say that we can't fly. I really, honestly, truly don't believe that there's anything that we cannot do. And I'm going to be getting into why I feel like that. But obviously in 3D reality, things aren't, we're experiencing time, right? So things aren't necessarily happening so instantly as they are in a dream, but dreams and reality are super similar. Now, how does this pertain to circumstances, right? Now, if you are in a dream, right, and you are getting chased by like a monster, a serial killer, right? If you become awake in your dream and you realize, because your dream is always a reflection of your subconscious. It's how your brain processes what's going on in your life, what's going on in your mind. So every single thing, your dream characters, your situations, your actual dream itself is a reflection of your subconscious mind in some warped, weird way, because we know dreams are really weird. But when you become aware of that you are in a dream, that you're not actually being chased. You may actually be being chased, but you realize that I'm in control here. This is only reflecting what's going on in my mind. So you can imagine yourself somewhere safe where you're not being chased. You can imagine a bus coming and hitting the monster and it's out of your way. You can imagine anything that you want to get yourself out of that situation. Okay? Why though? Because the contents of the dream, the plot of the dream, everything about the dream is only reflecting what's in your mind, okay? So this is why, you guys, circumstances do not matter, because life is the same way. This entire reality, and here's something really quick too for beginners too, because I think this is something that a lot of people don't understand, is that you always have been and always are manifesting. A lot of people and a lot of, when you're on like the internet and things, it's like, oh, well, you're manifesting when it's a full moon and you see 333 on the clock and you sit down and do affirmations and you do a meditation, then you're manifesting. But that's not only when you're manifesting intentionally on purpose at that time, but your whole life up to this point has been manifested. You are manifesting all the time. Another thing that people like to say, because I know it's coming. Oh, well, I never thought of this thing that happened to me. So not every manifestation is a direct reflection, right? Like, let's say your boyfriend breaks up with you and, but you're like, well, I never thought about us breaking up. You may not have thought of that specifically, but you may have an identity of being unwanted. You may have an identity of, people leaving you. You may have an identity that people don't like to stay with you, or that relationships don't last, or love isn't real. There's tons of ways that you are influencing your reality. Okay. And that, I feel like, is what coaching does to help illuminate what is the story that you've been telling yourself so that you can flip it. Okay. But everything in your reality up to this point and beyond this point has been created by you. Okay. So manifestation is not just something you do. You don't only manifest consciously, is what I'm trying to say. You're not only manifesting when you sit down to do something on purpose. You have a program running about every topic in your life. And you can know what the program is by looking at the contents of your life. That's what you look to 3D for, to see where has my mind been? Where have my thoughts been? Right? Okay. So this is why, because 3D is only showing what is in your imagination, or 4D. I also have a video on the terms that are used in law of assumption. I'll probably link that for you guys. But 3D is only showing you what is in 4D. And because, here's another thing, and then I'm going to get into the email, but because reality is not fixed, okay? It seems that way, and I totally get this. It seems like reality is what it is, and so things are what they are. For instance, let's say sort of what Barry is talking about is that his SP is, far away. He's far away. So how can we come together but you have to realize, though, that reality is moldable. Things change all the time. Even for people that don't manifest, things change, right? We go through seasons of things and circumstances and whatever. But when you are in the driver's seat of your life and you realize yourself, because think about, again, the dream example that I'm using. Okay. When you're in a dream and you're getting chased by a monster, it feels real, right? When you're in a nightmare or when you're in whatever dream, it feels real. There's most of the time, especially if you've never been lucid before, you don't know the difference between a dream and real life. So it feels real. It feels fixed. It feels like it can't be changed. Most of the time, I manifest so much in real life that I manifest in my dreams too. Even if I'm not lucid and I'm in trouble, I'll manifest myself out of trouble in my dream. So, but realizing, though, that's the part, you guys, this is the part when you become awake, when you become aware, wait a minute, this is reflecting my thoughts. This is only reflecting my feelings. This is only reflecting my imagination. Okay. My subconscious mind, whatever. All right. So just like putting a projector, all right, the projector is your imagination. The picture that's being shown on the screen is your 3D. Okay. So you might be looking at what's on the screen saying, I don't like this. I don't want this. I can't change it. But if you change what's in the projector, if you change the projector, it will project something new. Okay. So this is why what is on the projector is not a hindrance to you. Okay. So I am intending that makes sense. Let me get into the email really quick, and then I'm going to read the Neville story. All right. So Barry says, morning. Saw your video about the Neville Goddard story in the Army. I read that he was 38 at the time when it happened. My situation is different. Have been wanting to reconnect with someone I had an encounter with back in 2005. I don't know how to find them, where they live now, or social media. Long story short, we had an amazing connection that day, and my paranoia about us getting caught by my then roommate freaked me out. I said something to him, and he just got up and left. I didn't want that to happen, and I want communication with this person. All I can remember is what he looked like, where he was from, and the car he was driving, what he had on, and his age. And back then, and I remember I had on some light blue sweatpants and some white yellow Air Force Ones, and I'm also a male. I am new to this manifestation lifestyle. It has been interesting. All I've been getting is angel numbers and signs and things related to Arizona, which is where he was from. I also remember the exact day and the year it happened. I don't know if I have too much resistance, lack, or what's blocking me from obtaining this goal. Okay. Before I get into the story, I want to address a few things in this email. Okay. So the first thing, is what everybody says, okay? I saw your video about Neville getting out of the army, but my situation is different. Y'all, listen to me, okay? Listen to me. Neville was in World War II, okay? Neville did not get discharged because he was sick. He didn't get discharged because he was ineligible. It wasn't anything like that, okay? He had no reason to be just discharged. I don't know if you guys know. I mean, I'm sure you know about being drafted in the army for a world war. Come on, guys. Let's really realize how impossible that is, okay? For you to just basically go to your commanding officer and say, I don't really feel like being here. And for them to be like, you're right. Yeah, go home. Come on now. Come on now. Come on now. Your situation is not different. I'm going to tell you, Barry, what's different is your mind. Because why Neville is the GOAT at law of assumption of manifestation is because Neville understands that circumstances do not matter. Neville understands that his mind is more supreme than any circumstance. I'm going to be honest, you guys. I mean, now that I know all that I know about Neville, but if I was drafted into World War II and I had no other reason other than I just want to go home, I don't know if I would have had the faith and the guts to, hey, can you just send me home? I'm not feeling this. This little war thing, it's not really, come on now. All right. Everybody feels like their circumstance is different, but it's only different because you're in it. Okay. It's only different because you're in it. And I totally get it. Even as a coach, as someone who practices manifestation, I get caught in my circumstances sometimes, and I'm going to revise that and say, no, I don't, but I get it, but it's only because you are in it. Okay. It's only because you're in it. It's not different though. It's not at all different. So please drop that altogether. The next thing that I want to, address is getting angel numbers and things and all of that. This is something else, and I'm going to link my other video about manifesting for beginners, because you want to start intentionally manifesting things. You want to start putting your mind other than this person, right? Because your faith is like a muscle. And the more that you see and connect the correlation between your mind and what's happening in your reality and in your life, the easier it is for you to just simply select something different, regardless of what's in front of you, regardless of what it's been, regardless of what it looks like. It's easier for you to simply understand that you are a selector, you're a chooser. So you can choose something different regardless of what it's been, but that comes with practice, okay? And you don't have to believe, you guys, because everybody loves to say that. You don't have to believe anything, and you don't. If it's something that you can't believe, like this seems like something that you just can't believe, you don't have to believe. You just have to persist. But it helps you to believe, you guys. It helps to have faith because it makes things happen quicker. And it helps you to persist, because persisting is what's going to get it for you every time. But who's going to persist in something that they don't really even believe in, right? I always say, my example is always if you saw someone bury $1 million in your backyard, you saw them bury it, when would you stop digging for it? You would never stop digging for it because you know that it's there. You would persist until you had it. Now, if your mom told you that your great-great-great-great-great-great-granddad says there's an old folk tale that maybe there might be, some money buried in your backyard, but you haven't seen it. Nobody's seen it. Nobody's seen it except for this one great-great-great-great-grandfather. You might still go and dig. But after a couple days, couple weeks, you'll be like, okay, I think this was just a folk tale, because you don't believe that it's there. Okay. This is why building your faith as a muscle is important when you're manifesting. Okay. All right. And if you have too much resistance, lack, or what's blocking you is your idea that something is blocking you. And let me tell you something that used to really annoy me, right? Because I would be in the Neville Reddit, and I don't want to say I don't like the Neville Reddit, It's a lot of, honestly, there's a lot of communities that I like for reasons and don't like for reasons. Neville Reddit is because there are some really, really, like, I've had a lot of pivotal moments from reading the Neville Reddit, but there are a lot of kind of people that are up their own ass, as I like to say, in that as well. So somebody would come on with their circumstance similar to yours, and, you know, I've been persisting and nothing's happening, and and they'll be like, oh, no, you're not persisting because look at your comment. This is exactly why you don't have what you want, And I would get so, like, annoyed, like, come on, they're just asking for clarity. They're trying to, you know, whatever, but they're right, though. They're right. Because your story that you're saying is what's happening, you guys, okay? And this is what you'll find with manifestation, that your reality is an out picture of the story that you have been telling yourself and that you believe about yourself, okay? So if someone is saying, I've been persisting, but nothing's happening, well, that's exactly what's happening. You're persisting and nothing's happening. You have to really completely detach from the old story that nothing is happening, or that it's not working, or I'm not getting anything, or I'm too blocked, or I'm resistant. You got to let go of all that. You got to let go of all that. And you've got to be able to laser focus in on the new story that you're telling, which is helpful to do when you know that your mind is creating. Okay? Now, let's read Neville's story, because I told you that Neville actually has a story that is exactly like your story. And let's read how it went. So it says, last August, while on a blind date, I met the man I wanted to marry. This happens sometimes, and it happens to me. He was everything I'd ever thought of as desirable in a husband. 2 days after this enchanted evening, it was necessary for me to change my place of residence because of my work. And the same week, the mutual friend who had introduced me to this man moved away from the city. I realized that the man that I'd met probably didn't know of my new address, and frankly, I was not sure he even knew my name. After your last lecture, I spoke to you of this situation. Although I had plenty of other dates, I could not forget this one man. Your lecture was based on revising our day, and after speaking to you, I determined to revise my day every day. Before going to sleep that night, I felt I was in a different bed, in my own home, as a married woman, and not as a single working girl, sharing an apartment with 3 other girls. I twisted an imaginary wedding band on my imaginary left hand, saying over and over to myself, this is wonderful. I really am Mrs. J.E. And I fell asleep in what was a moment before a waking dream. I repeated this imaginary scene for 1 month, night after night. The first week in October, he found me. On our second date, I knew my dreams were rightly placed. Your teaching tells us to live in the end of our desire until that desire becomes fact. So although I did not know how he felt towards me, I continued night after night living in the feeling of my dream realized. The results, in November, he proposed. In January, we announced our engagement, and the following May, we were married. The loveliest part of it all, however, is that I am happier than I ever dreamed possible, and I know in my heart he is too. Signed, Mrs. J.E. All right. I want to actually read a little bit of what Neville said. By using her imagination radically instead of conservatively, by building her world out of pure dreams of fancy. Okay? I love how Neville talks sometimes. She built her world out of pure dreams of fancy. Okay? Pure imagination. This person moved away. And this is back in Neville's time. Okay? Where there is no social media. There is no Facebook or anything, TikTok, none of that shit. Right? Rather than using images supplied by memory, she brought about the fulfillment of her dream. Common sense would have used images supplied by her memory and thereby perpetuated the fact of lack in her life. Oh, y'all. Maybe I need to read Neville on here more often. Y'all, like, really listen to what he's saying. Common sense would have used images supplied by her memory and thereby perpetuated the fact of lack in her life. Okay? Barry, this is you saying, oh, well, we met and it's been so long and my circumstances are different and I don't even know where he's at and he doesn't know where I'm at and da-da-da-da-da. You can perpetuate that fact of lack, okay? He's not here, I don't know. You can perpetuate that. Or you can build your world out of pure dreams of fancy. Imagination created what she desired out of a dream of fancy. Everyone must live wholly on the level of imagination, and it must be consciously and deliberately undertaken, okay? So, Barry, my suggestion to you would be to revise if you want to. I don't know how much you know about revision, but I just made another video about revision as well. But to revise that whole encounter and that you guys have always been together. If that's too far out for you, just persist in the fact that you guys are now together and how wonderful it is that you are now together. And maybe rewatch this too. All right. So I'm intending that helps. I know that it does. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.